Alright, how you guys doing today? First things first, make sure you like the video, make sure you leave a comment. We'd love to hear what you got to say about everything I'm about to say. So today we're going to be reading Luke chapter 20 in the NIV, the New International Version. But first I want to talk about my little experience today. So I'm at college, right? It's a fairly big college, public university. I'm walking around and there's women dressing however types of ways. I go to the gym, women dressing however types of ways. When I'm fighting with me, myself, and not asking God to take the temptation away from me, it's harder. Because I can't do it. It's my flesh. It's a battle against my flesh. The demons are in my flesh. But I give it to God and God wills me away. But I'm thinking, what's a better way if I can't always imagine God? If I can't imagine God in that circumstance, I'm like, okay, what am I looking at? I'm looking at women, right? If I look, I'm looking at women, right? But there's only one woman who should matter. And that's the future wife that I have. I want to get married so ASAP. Y'all don't even know, bro. I really want to get married ASAP. So in my mind, I think now, I came to this revelation today. I'm like, think about your future wife. If you look at another woman lustfully, that's adultery. She now has the right to divorce me because I've been unfaithful in marriage. Based off that fact, if I look at another woman with lust, because that's adultery. I committed in my heart. I said to her, she's not enough for me. But I know she's going to be enough for me because God says she's going to be enough for me. I'm holding out every night I pray. Pretty much every night when I pray, I ask God, please, Lord, send her my way ASAP. I want her now or as soon as possible because I can't wait to share that bond. I can't wait for two different fleshes to be made one in God's name. And every day now I have to prove to not only myself and to God, but to her as well, that I'm strong enough and God has blessed me enough and I can submit to God enough to be willing to receive a wife. And I think that's why I haven't gotten it yet, because I'm not secure enough in where I am as a Christian. I'm not walking as straight as I can. I'm not in the light as much as I could be. I'm still succumbing. And why am I doing that? Do I not have enough faith in God? Are the demons too strong? Which one is it? Or is it a mixture of both? These demons are strong in my flesh because they've been there for years. But I'm not believing in God enough to let him take these fears and temptations and everything else away from me, that I can be a new creation to him. And that's something I'm personally struggling with. But I want to get married, but I can't have that until I'm right. Until God sees fit that you're worthy of a wife now. I can send her your way. I can make you happy. So that's something I just want to work on. And I just wanted to share that if you guys are young like me. You know what I'm saying? I'm 19. And I've always wanted to be married. I've always saved myself for marriage regardless of whatever sins I committed in the past. Like, saving myself for marriage was always something I was very adamant on. Always. And I can't wait to be so deeply in love with somebody that I can join our two fleshes in one in the love of God. But let's get into this word. Luke chapter 20, New International Version, NIV. One day, as Jesus was teaching the people in the temple courts and proclaiming the good news, the chief priests and the teachers of the law, together with the elders, came up to him. "Tell us by what authority you're doing these things," they said. "Who gave you this authority?" He replied, "I will also ask you a question. Tell me, John's baptism, was it from heaven or human origin?" And they discussed it among themselves and said, "If we say, 'From heaven,' he will ask, 'Why didn't you believe him?' But if we say of human origin, all the people will stone us because they're persuaded that John was a prophet." So they answered, "We don't know where it was from." Jesus said, "Neither will I tell you by what authority I am doing these things." He went on to tell the people this parable. A man planted a vineyard, rented it to some farmers, and went away for a long time. At harvest time, he sent a servant to the tenants so that they would give him some of the fruit of the vineyard. But the tenants beat him and sent him away empty-handed. He sent another servant, but that one they had also beaten, treated shamefully, and sent him away empty-handed. He sent still a third, and they wounded him and threw him out. Then the owner of the vineyard said, "What shall I do? I will send my son, whom I love. Perhaps they will respect him." But when the tenants saw him, they talked the matter over. "This is the heir," they said. "Let's kill him and the inheritance will be ours." So they threw him out of the vineyard and killed him. What then will the owner of the vineyard do to them? He will come and kill those tenants and give the vineyard to others. When the people heard this, they said, "God forbid." Jesus looked directly at them and asked, "Then what is the meaning of that which is written, 'The stone the builders rejected has become the cornerstone'? Everyone who falls on that stone will be broken to pieces, and anyone on whom it falls will be crushed." The teachers of the law and the chief priests looked for a way to arrest him immediately, because they knew he had spoken this parable against them, but they were afraid of the people. Keeping a close watch on him, they sent spies, who pretended to be sincere. They hoped to catch Jesus in something he said, so that they might hand him over to the power and the authority of the governor. So the spies questioned him, "Teacher, we know that you speak and teach what's right, and that you do not show partiality, but teach the ways of God in accordance with the truth. Is it right for us to pay taxes to Caesar or not?" He saw through their duplicity and said to them, "Show me a denarius. Whose image and inscription are on it?" "Caesar's," they replied. He said to them, "Then give back to Caesar what is Caesar's, and to God what is God's." They were unable to trap him in what he said there in public, and astonished by his answer, they became silent. Some of the Sadducees, who says there is no resurrection, came to Jesus with a question. "Teacher," they said, "Moses wrote for us that if a man's brother dies and leaves a wife but no children, the man must marry the widow and raise up offspring for his brother. Now there were 7 brothers. The first one married a woman and died childless. The second, and then the third married her, and in the same way the 7 died, leaving no children. Finally the woman died too. Now then at the resurrection, whose wife will she be, since the 7 were married to her?" And Jesus replied, "The people of this age marry and are given in marriage. But those who are considered worthy of taking part in the age to come and in the resurrection from the dead will neither marry nor be given in marriage. And they can no longer die, for they are like the angels. They are God's children, since they are children of the resurrection. But in the account of the burning bush, even Moses showed that the dead rise. For he calls the Lord the God of Abraham, and the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. He's not the God of the dead, but of the living, for to him all are alive." Some of the teachers of the law responded, "Well said, teacher." And no one dared to ask him any more questions. Then Jesus said to them, "Why is it said that the Messiah is the son of David? David himself declares in the book of Psalms, 'The Lord said to my Lord, sit at my right hand until I make your enemies a footstool for your feet.' David calls him Lord. How then can he be his son?" While all the people were listening, Jesus said to his disciples, "Beware of the teachers of the law. They like to walk around in flowing robes and love to be greeted with respect in the marketplaces and have the most important seats in the synagogues and the places of honor at banquets. They devour widows' houses and for a show make lengthy prayers. These men will be punished most severely." And if you watched the last video, you know that I talked about this sermon that my dad heard once and was telling me about the fact that there's no coincidences, it's all God's plan, right? And I came into this video talking about how I want to get married one day. I didn't even know this chapter was about to talk about marriage, right? God's funny like that. He works in mysterious ways. And I said in the last video concerning Luke chapter 19, the parable of the 10 minas, that I would research and come back with an answer about, the meaning of it, since I didn't really get it. But I'm not gonna lie, I got halfway through a sermon last night and I went to sleep after, so I didn't necessarily get the meaning. So if God allows, I'm gonna do my research and I'm gonna come back to y'all with the next video explaining my interpretation based off how other people have portrayed it to me. I'll explain what I think about it and how that relates to anything in my life, and hopefully can relate to something in your lives as well. I had a question about this one, verse 35, "But those who are considered worthy of taking part in the age to come and in the resurrection from the dead will neither marry nor be given in marriage. And if they can no longer die, for they are like the angels, they are God's children, since they are the children of the resurrection." I wonder if, because since they were still under the law, if this is a different resurrection than what we are going to experience, or if this is the same thing. Because, oh yeah, y'all can see most of this, I believe. So this right here is a great tool. You can see at the top the Blue Letter Bible up here. Blue Letter Bible, you can go, look up whatever you want. You can pick what translation you want through here. This button up here, type the word you want up here. This is what the main page look like. And you just type in, I don't know if it's showing, but it's over here to the right. It's a giant thing that says search the Bible, right? And then you can come to whatever verse you want, hit tools, and you can hit Bibles, and you can get all the different translations to read, and you can grab some stuff with the little hand. Because I just wanted to look at the other translation to see if maybe that'll answer my question. The thing shall be ready to obtain that world in resurrection for the dead, marriage. Those who are ready to obtain that age, resurrection for the marriage, and age to come. Those who are ready to the dead. Those who are ready to age to come. Those who are ready to obtain that age. Those who are ready to age, obtain that age, obtain that age. Those who are ready to gain that other world and that future age. That other world and that future age and resurrection for the dead. Those who are ready to share that age, resurrection for the dead. And then also another great thing about the Blue Letter Bible, I just duplicated the tab so I can look up something else. You can just type in words. You can really just type in words. One flesh. Therefore a man shall leave his father and his mother and shall cleave unto his wife, and they shall be one flesh. And for this cause shall a man leave father and mother and shall cleave to his wife, and they twain shall be one flesh. Right? Wherefore they are no more twain, but one flesh. For therefore God is joined together, let no man put asunder. Wah, wah. For this cause shall a man leave his father and mother, and they shall be joined unto his wife, and they two shall be one flesh. Because another thing I was thinking about in this was, I don't know if everyone has all the answers, because people have seen this verse and they're like, okay, when you're resurrected and you go to the land of the living God, when you're resurrected, there's no more marriage. You won't marry. We'll just read it one more time. Those who are counted worthy to attain to that age and to the resurrection from the dead neither marry nor are given in marriage. I wonder if that means everybody who came into the resurrection solo, like they're single type thing. And I'm not even talking about like, oh, if you're old and your wife dies and then you're going at separate points because she died first and then you'll die later, you're technically not married, but you're still married, right? You're still married in spirit. Because if you divorce and then get married again, it's adultery. I don't know if the same is with death and remarriage. Who knows? I don't know. I mean, considering they talk a lot about widows, I'm assuming that just didn't fly back in that time. They talk a lot about taking care of the orphans and widows. And if you're a widow, I think you just kind of got that mark for life. Like, I remember they talking about widows' clothing. So everybody made it known that they were a widow if they were a widow, right? Wherefore they are no more twain but one flesh. What therefore God hath joined together, let no man put asunder, which means let no man tear apart. So God had joined you together. You're not twain, you are not twain, but one flesh, right? You are one flesh. They aren't married nor given in marriage. Is that because the marriage has already happened on earth that there's no need to? And if you didn't marry on earth, it means, because it talks a lot about eunuchs in the Bible. And I remember Don said about eunuchs is like some people just choose not to marry because they know that it's not good for their soul or their spirit or their spiritual journey, whatever the case. And it talked a lot about eunuchs. So let's look up what a eunuch is so make sure my point's right. Okay, so eunuchs were people castrated in order to be trusted over overseeing the king's domestic interests, especially protecting the king's harems. I don't know what a harem is. Excluded house, part of a house allotted to women in some Muslim households. That's talking about Muslims, but it also says to protect royal or aristocratic women's quarters and serve the women of the court. I guess so they weren't able to like take advantage of the women per se, I guess, maybe. But they still had like the strength of a man, or at least they were doing the job of a man, you know, whatever. But if some people choose not to marry, it's like they might be thinking to themselves, okay, when I'm resurrected, I'm going in solo. Because if they're one flesh, if we're one flesh, two people have been joined together, I wonder when we're resurrected if that's going to count as you go up to having resurrected together. Because if you're married, you're one flesh, right? You're one flesh, you're joined together. What therefore God hath joined together, leave his father and mother, shall cleave to his wife, and they twain shall be one flesh. I wonder if when we're resurrected, you can either go by yourself if you choose never to get married, or if you didn't get married and you're saved. Or if you're married, if you're going up both together. Or if your wife sins and is not saved and you're saved, I wonder if technically together, because you're one flesh, if that'll send you to hell with her. I'm not far along enough in the journey to know whether this question can get answered by me. But if you have some thoughts, let me know in the comments. If you know anybody who's answered this, I can look for this answer as well. Right, I can look for this answer as well. But dang, this is the kind of stuff, if I was reading this by myself, I wouldn't be thinking of these questions. And I say that all the time when I'm at Bible study. It's like, I tell them I come to Bible study because I'm like, you just can't get this type of discussion and fellowship out of yourself. I can't get this in-depth reading of the word by myself, especially when people there are more versed than me and they can pick and choose verses that they've read and talk about how it relates to a specific one. And I'm like, ooh, that's so nice. And I can't do that yet, so I have these questions, and then my brain gets going, and then I start asking these questions, and we start diving into what I've heard or what I've seen on certain topics, which I think is pretty cool, and I hope you think that's pretty cool as well. All right, that's going to be the end of the chapter. Hope you guys have yourselves a fantastic rest of your day. Peace.